are, Meeple PhD. I'm an astronomer and a gamer, which means that I see the universe in everything that I do, including board games. In this series, I am looking at the board game mechanisms as listed on Board Game Geek and seeing where they remind me of the universe and the way that we study it. This time I'm looking at the mechanism of closed drafting. This is a mechanism for distributing cards, often, or other game pieces in a game. This can often take the form of a play and pass, where at the beginning of a round, players get a hand of cards. They will choose one from that hand and then pass the hand to the next player. Then you will choose a card from the diminished hand in your possession and pass it along again until all of the cards are distributed. One of the games in my collection that uses this method is Bunny Kingdom. In this game, players are drafting cards through this mechanism in order to play bunnies out on this grid, build up their cities with bunnies and different crops in order, well, to make points. Another game that uses this mechanism is Draftosaurus. In this game, you are actually drafting dinosaur pieces instead of cards. At the beginning of the round, each player has a little handful of dinosaurs in their hand. They will pick one to play out into their dinosaur park, following various rules as they play it out. Like one pen in their park might only be able to take one kind of dinosaur, or another one might be looking for pairs of different kinds of dinosaur. But they will take that and then they will pass their hand on to the next player who chooses one. Now, in astronomy, this idea of everything being dealt out at the beginning of a round and then staying within the game for the rest of the game reminds me of clusters of galaxies. Now, a galaxy cluster is the largest gravitationally bound structure in the universe. And I like to think of them as the Las Vegas of the universe, because whatever happens in a cluster stays in the cluster. And this has a neat effect that we can look at galaxy clusters at different times during the cosmic past and learn about how our universe has changed over time. This is because as you're looking at more and more distant objects, you're seeing the universe as it was in the past. It takes time for light to travel to us. And so when you're seeing something that's distant, you're seeing it as it was when it was much, much younger than it is today. And one of the things we can learn from this is kind of what the enrichment history of the universe is. To an astronomer, enrichment is talking about the creation of heavier and heavier elements from hydrogen and helium. So at the beginning of the universe, we were mostly hydrogen and helium, a little bit of other stuff. But over time, stars have been changing the hydrogen and helium into heavier elements, and supernova explosions are also changing them into heavier elements. And when a supernova happens in a galaxy, some of the gas and dust can get blown out of that galaxy. So you can't just look at an individual galaxy and know how it has changed over time. But that galaxy is probably part of a galaxy cluster. And as that gas gets blown out by the supernova, it's going to get captured by the cluster. And it's going to stay within that intra-cluster medium, the stuff that's between the different galaxies in this cluster. And so by getting captured there, it stays within the cluster. And we can kind of look at the big cluster and see how it's changed over time, giving us some idea of star formation over cosmic time and just how things are changing over time. So the next time you are playing a game with the closed drafting mechanism, pretend instead of a hand of cards at the beginning, you are getting a handful of hydrogen and helium and see what you can make of it by the end of the game. That's it for this episode. I will be back again. I'm doing this random walk through the board game mechanisms. So come on back, like and subscribe to my channel so you know when the new videos come out. Otherwise, in the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram and Blue Sky as Meeple PhD, and you can follow my blog at meeplephd.com. We'll see you next time.